Good evening, everyone. Chris Schultz, Friday Night Victors.com. This is our weekly video picks. We are in week 7, and I am joined, as always, by my partner, Gary Hoff. Gary, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
See, you got your SMCC hat on there.
Yeah, I just picked it up today.
Ah,
Military Appreciation Week. It's got a little
yeah,
military vibe to it.
looks
Hmm.
nice. And noticeably missing is the one and only Frank Vajner. Frank had what do you have going on tonight, Gary? I don't volleyball
He's
match.
doing a volleyball. Yeah, volleyball game. He couldn't get home. It's
Okay.
a back and forth match in Bedford.
Okay. So unfortunately, he's not here. We had scheduled to do this a little bit earlier than we normally do, and it was at his request, I believe.
It was.
And now he's not here. So real quick, let's touch on a couple things. Why don't you throw out our sponsors real quick, Gary?
Bedford Septic and Sewer.
Yes, sir.
You know what they do. Give them
Yep.
a call. Kicks by Stephanie.
Yep,
You know what they do.
we
Give
do.
give Stephanie
Remax
a call.
Masters.
And Remax Masters LeBeau team. Give those guys a call. You need a house, sell a house, whatever.
Yeah, we're also sponsored by True Champions as well. That's a recruiting service. If you have any interest in them, check them out. Our information or their information is on our website. And then Gary, why don't you throw it out there? We did something new this week. It's supposed to drop on Wednesday. And why don't you give them a little preview, Gary?
Yeah, our new podcast called Bring the Wood. There's 6 of us now, I guess you would say, with Frank as our fact checker, and he did a great job. But we're just it's basically 5 to 6 guys all around the state of Michigan, Muskegon, Lowell, um, Goose Poop. It's actually down in Indiana, but he covers all of Michigan with his website, and us too with Frank. Yeah, we talked about everything, all 8 divisions. Hit on a lot of teams, hit on some big games last week, talked about some games coming up, and just a ton of information that's going to be on Spotify. So look for it. Bring the Wood, and yeah, it's supposed to drop on Wednesday.
Yeah, and that should be an RSS feed that you can really get through any provider. And just real quick, if I could touch on it, we've got Nick and Jeff. Nick is from the Lansing area, Jeff is from the Muskegon area, and then we've got Goose, which is Cannon. And man, this was good stuff. I was surprised how in depth we got. We talked about the snooze to you projections. We talked about the FREEP rankings, and then we talked about some games from the previous week. So it was good stuff. Check that out. It should drop on Wednesday. With that said, let's talk about a couple of games, Gary. Why don't we start with the game that you were at, SMCC 34, Riverview 15, Falcons all over the Pirates. Give us your thoughts on this.
Uh, it was just a game where Riverview just kept handing SMCC presents, little nuggets all over the field in terms of fumbles, and SMCC recovered them all. Now Riverview didn't just drop the ball and set it down on the ground. SMCC caused the fumbles. Their defense hits. They bring the wood, if you will.
Yeah.
And but it's still unusual, obviously, for a team to lose 3 fumbles in one half. I doubt Riverview will do that again this year, and probably won't do it next year. So it is a bit unusual, but if you're the Falcons, you definitely will take it, and they pounced on them all. And then, of course, you had the 2 kickoff return scores, which is also, again, unusual.
Mhm.
That was Jack Fox, a sophomore, returning it nearly 90 yards up the middle and down the left side, out racing the Riverview Pirate kickoff team, and Luke Linzel on a pooch kick. They opened up the half on it with a pooch kick, and it went to one of the up men. And I was calling on the radio, watch out for the onside kick. Riverview was down at half, and a lot of times coaches want to turn that momentum around and recover an onside kick. SMCC was ready for it. So Coach Kip was thinking the same thing as probably a lot of people were, but they did it in form of a pooch kick,
Mhm.
and Lindsell got it and just went straight forward down the field untouched. So very unusual. Um, but it was a tough loss for Riverview and a great win for SMCC. You can just notch it up as that. Um, Players of the game for SMCC, the couple I mentioned, and Brady Hines. I was going to say Drew Harris. Brady Hines had an outstanding game on both sides of the ball. He was all over Thompson. He caused a, a fumble or two, recovered a fumble, scored 2 touchdowns. He had a great game. Um, and there was a couple plays in that game. I thought that 3rd and 9, because Riverview started to come back a little bit. 3rd and 9, uh, Ian Foster on 3rd and 9, deep in their own territory, scrambled for a first down. He rolled out all the way left for a pass, came back all the way right, had some blockers, and just got the first down. That was big. And Drew Harris busted about a 50-yard run that flipped the field. And those 2 plays right there are real, other than the ones I mentioned, those 2 plays were big back breakers, and those that thwarted the Riverview attempt at a comeback.
Okay. Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts. So, turnovers usually happen because teams force those,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
They really do. Good teams do that. Same thing with special teams, right? Special teams happen because you work on that stuff, right? The other thought I have is what you mentioned about Brady Hines. Hard to believe he didn't carry the ball in the opening game at all, back in week one. Real quick question for you. Do you think Riverview missed Ian Adams?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. He's a game breaker, and anytime he touches it, he can go for a score. So you're going to miss a guy like that. I mean, they have other guys. Pincava carry the ball a lot. Their fullback they have now. I can't recall his name. I want to say Richardson, but I'd probably be wrong. He's a nice player too. Uh, but they have plenty of good players at Riverview. Do they miss their likely best player? Of course they do, as any team would, missing their best player. But Riverview will be okay going forward. They just gotta, really just put this game behind you. If you're Riverview, you put it behind you, and you move forward, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. All right,
Mhm.
let's look at another game. This was one that jumped out at me. Whiteford 65, Erie Mason 8. And the big thing about that was Whiteford scored 51 points in the first quarter.
Yeah,
Somebody texted me and said, "How is that even possible?"
right.
And I read a little bit maybe that they scored right away, forced a fumble in the end zone, fell on it, scored. And I mean, have you ever seen 51 points in a quarter?
I've seen, and I took a picture of it. It was probably 20 years ago when SMCC had one of the really good teams, 4 field teams. Um, they were beating a team in the playoffs. I want to say like Grass Lake or something like that. It was 56-7 with 8 minutes left in the second quarter. So that would probably be the biggest margin I'd seen early in a game like that. But yeah, it's just the rails fall off for the other team, and um yeah, the turnovers and kick returns and long touchdowns, and yeah.
Okay. Another game. This is a big upset. Trenton 28, Carlson 14. This was a stunner where Gary and I picked SMCC to beat Riverview and Frank didn't. Uh, we all picked Carlson to win this game. And Trenton was just all over him, right? I mean, Carlson's putting up big numbers and they only put up 14 points. They give up 28. Thoughts on this game? I know we talked to, what is it, Reggie Glan? Is that the head coach's name over there at Trenton?
Yeah, Trenton. Yeah, Frank thinks he's a great coach, and I'm sure he is. I don't know a lot about him, but pulling this one off, I wouldn't doubt he's a great coach. They just was it the week before or 2 weeks before, Carlson beat Anderson by like 45 points or something like that. And I kind of, Trenton and Anderson, I don't think there's a lot of difference between those 2 teams. In fact, I think they played,
And
and it was like a two
Anderson
point
beat them.
game.
Anderson beat them, I believe.
Yeah, it was close game though. It was, yeah. So I mean, I have those teams that kind of at the same level. Where if they were to play 10 times, they probably go 5-5. But So I'm thinking, okay, well, Trenton, I don't think they have a chance. And you and I both picked Carlson to go 9-0, but not the case. I don't know what happened. I'm sure it was a case of turnovers and maybe were they overlooking the tractors? I don't know.
I don't, you mean the Trojans?
Trojans.
Yeah.
Who are the tractors?
Fordson.
That Sportsman. Yeah, I gosh dang it.
I think, right? Yeah, Fordson tractors. So yeah,
Sports and tractors.
real quick shout out. One of my former athletes that I coached, Kyle Fader, back about 25 years ago. His son is a linebacker for Trenton. Ansel Fader, really, really good player. I probably should have reached out to Kyle to get his thoughts on that game. He probably could have given us some insight there. So anyways, why don't we jump into our games for this week, and we'll make our picks, and then you guys can find Frank's picks when we post that stuff on Thursday, when we always give our picks for those of you who are video challenged or don't want to watch our ugly mugs. Let's start off in the Huron League. 1-5 Jefferson. Jefferson got a big win last week over winless Grozeal. And then you've got Airport, the winner of 2 straight. I said the Jets would win 4 in a row. This will be the third step in that quadruple, I guess. Gary, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, congratulations to Jefferson winning their first game. Grozeal still looking. Um, yeah, Airport. They're not. They're a good football team. They just in the first handful of games or so, 4 games, they played the best teams in the league. So that's a rough way to start. But once you get through that, things really evened up for them, I guess you would call it. Although they got a huge win over Huron, um, and I thought that game would be a little closer. But so great job there, Airport, with that win. Yeah, I'm going with Jets here against Jefferson. Um, wouldn't surprise me if Jefferson hangs with them though. I mean, the heck, they hung with Flat Rock. They can hang with Airport, and I don't think Airport's offense is that so where they're going to run away from Jefferson. Maybe I don't know, or maybe Jefferson can just keep pace with their offense. But I seen it being a little tight early, but I think in the end, Airport will win the game.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. I think Airport wins this game, and I'm thinking a little bit differently. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Airport is realizing, hey, we're not bad. We're pretty good, and we're playoff bound, and I think they're going to go out and start strong and finish strong. And I think they win this game just because I think Airport's a good team, and Jefferson's just still young, even though they got talent. So, all right, let's jump down to the LCAA. 5-1 Ida at 4-2 Adrian Madison. This is kind of, looking to possibly be a good game here. What are your thoughts here, Gary?
Right, Madison, they need one of these games to make the playoffs, and I know that's on their minds.
Mhm.
Ida, if you're Ida, you're looking. You can't overlook this team. They're well coached. I don't think. I don't think it's going to be a lopsided affair. I think Madison will hang in there with Ida, but in the end, Ida just has too much offense, too much size, and they'll eventually win this game. They'll pull away in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I think it'll be a close game as well. I think Madison's a well-coached team. They're 4-2. Ida is very good, and they're one of those teams I think you're going to have to watch out for in Division 6. But I'm gonna go with the Blue Streaks as well. But I think it'll be a good game. So, all right, why don't we jump over to the SEC Red. Dexter 5-1, at Monroe 2-4. Any chance the Trojans can win this game? What do you think, Gary?
Dexter's looking to basically lock up the SEC Red, being that Celine forfeited those games. Um, boy, I just don't think Monroe has enough firepower to hang with Dexter. I think you got to score 40, and I don't know if Monroe can score 40 points. So I'm going to take the Dreadnoughts. Did I get that one right?
You did, yes. The
Yes,
Dreadnoughts.
yes.
I will
Even
go with the Dreadnoughts as well. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think they have a really, really nice team, and it's going to be interesting to see someone possibly win the SEC Red, for the first time in
Yeah.
a minute, although it's from odd circumstances. And I hear Celine is trying to get those games restored.
Mm.
Somehow they self-reported, but then I heard the school board is telling the athletic director you need to appeal this, which uh, that ain't gonna happen.
Mm.
I don't know the details. The weird thing is it sounded like that kid played at Saline JV last year, and then he's still here in Saline. So I wonder what the dynamics are of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of interesting. So,
Hmm.
all right, why don't we jump up to where I'm jumping around here? I should put these in order. Riverview 5-1 at Milan 2-4. Did I say I'm going with Dexter? Did I
You
say that?
did.
Okay,
Sort
cool.
of. Yeah.
All right, sorry. Riverview 5-1 at Milan 2-4. The Big Reds have a chance here at all, or are the Pirates just pissed?
Yeah, I would think the Pirates are not too happy with how they performed last week. Um, and they're going to come out and fix those things. I saw a lot of in Riverview's case, I saw a lot of missed blocks last week. I didn't want to. I don't see. I saw a lot of lack of effort things, but it was just a weird night, for Riverview. But I think they fix all that, and they're going to take it on Milan, and I feel bad for Milan.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think Riverview gets healthy here, and I don't think it'll be close, and I think it could get kind of ugly. Uh, all right, let's
It's
go.
funny. It's funny how one game, or really, I guess you could say two games, the SMCC Riverview game and the Trenton Carlson game. If before those games were played on Thursday, if anybody would have asked you and I, um, is anybody stopping Riverview out of the downriver district that it's probably going to be, whether it's Anderson, Trenton, and we both would have said Riverview rolls. This is the best team Riverview's had in some years. We both said that.
Mhm.
Um, okay, we both would have said that, and then we would have said, there's no way Trenton's going to beat them. They'll hang with them a little bit. They're well coached, but in the end, blah blah blah. But now, one game later, you're like, oh, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. Anderson, Trenton, look out, Riverview. You better beware. So, I think Riverview is out there to dispel all that nonsense because of 1 week, and they're going to start with Milan.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we have to remember we're dealing with 16, 17-year-old kids here. I mean, you never know what's going on
Right.
in the life of a 16, 17-year-old kid. And it's funny. I had said that Riverview that might be the best team since what was it, 97. But then I go and pick SMCC. I played a hunch on that one. That's all it was. I really like the way the Falcons are playing. So but yeah, I'll go with Riverview there. All right, let me see. I've been jumping around. Hudson 5-1 at Dundee 2-4. The Vikings. I don't know if the Vikings can get a win the rest of the season, man. This turning into be a long season for Dundee, and Hudson's just dynamite.
Well, it's really too bad for the Vikings because they had a really good team last year and they just could not get in the playoffs. They barely missed. And I think that would have been Flat Rock's bugaboo last year. Flat Rock, I think, was happy that Dundee didn't make it in because that would have been a heck of a game. I think they
They
played
played,
last year, right?
they
Week
played in the
one.
opening, and it was like
Yeah,
a 2-point game or something. I was
2 point
at
game.
the game, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just they had a team last year. They just lost so many close games,
Mhm.
and they didn't get in. And then a lot of those kids graduated, and now they're a little bit younger this year and maybe a year away from doing some things, but yeah, and on the other side, Hudson, they're a horse, they're a wagon, as Frank would say.
Yeah, yeah.
They are a team to watch out for in Division 7. And I think Hudson's gonna win. It's gonna be like 55-6 or something like that.
Yeah, I think Hudson's going to win. I don't think it'll be close either.
Yep.
I guess the good news is Dundee doesn't have to drive all the way out there.
Right.
Uh, all right, let's go to, the TCC Whiteford 3-3. at undefeated Everest Collegiate up in Clarkston. Uh, I'll give my thoughts first here, I guess. I'm gonna go with Everest Collegiate. This is probably Everest's best team that they've had. Whiteford is still a very good team. They've just, they've got a tough schedule, right? And I think they're gonna squeak in to the playoffs, and I don't know if anybody will want to play them, but I think Everest just has too much, and Everest is a team that can make a run in Division 8.
I think you're right. I think they could. Um, I'm gonna go Clarkson as well. Just a lot of it has to do with the drive up there. If this was down in Whiteford, I would say maybe Whiteford can win. Whiteford has the team to beat Everest.
Mhm.
I just think Everest is a little bit stronger. Um, and yeah, this may be their best team, one of their best teams for sure. And as you said, it might be their best team. So, um, and this is not Whiteford's best team, but they're still a good team. And as you said, no one's gonna want to play Whiteford week one of the playoffs or week two of the playoffs. But I'm gonna go with Clarkson in this. But I hope it's a great game. I think it's a game I'm gonna want to watch the next day if it's on if it's on a stream or something.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, let's go with let's say in the TCC, Erie Mason 1-5 at Summerfield, the Bulldogs 5-1, and kind of the surprise and really in Division 8. And I don't think there's any way Erie Mason can hang with Summerfield. Summerfield just has a lot of good talent, and they're very well coached. They almost seem like one of those teams that is just going to make a run because they have talent and coaching, and so I'm gonna go with Summerfield here.
The two dark horses in Division 8 are two teams that played each other, Summerfield and Decatur. Decatur beat Summerfield, very close score. It's their
30
only
to
loss.
27, 30-27 at
Their
Decatur.
only right. And Decatur's only loss is to White Pigeon, who's also a very good Division 8 team.
Mhm.
So there's two strong teams right there. Yeah. And then again, you don't want to play Summerfield early in the playoffs. Something tells me I just see Summerfield out there. I just see a really stout team out there, and I don't necessarily mean physically. I just mean I believe they play football the right way,
Mhm.
and you're
Yeah.
gonna have to beat them. They're not gonna beat themselves. So yeah, give me Summerfield, and I'm excited. I'm excited for them when the playoffs get here.
Yeah, I am as well. All right, let's go to the Downriver League. Carlson, fresh off that loss to Trenton, 5-1 at Woodhaven. Woodhaven's 3-2. They had, I don't know if many people know there was an incident in the game against Waterford Mott, and they had to cancel the game, and neither team could make it up, so it ended up a no decision,
Hmm.
I guess. So thoughts on this, Gary?
Carlson, where's the game at?
At Woodhaven.
Not that it matters, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Carlson to get right. Isaiah Wright did play a little bit last week. He'll probably get some more time this week, I believe. Um, yeah, I think Carlson went back to work. I think the coach has their attention fully now. Maybe Carlson was starting to feel they were unbeatable, understandable. They're blowing everybody out. Well, it doesn't work that way. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I just know this week I'm very sure their coach is has their attention, and I think they're going to come out guns blazing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Carlson wins this game. I think, uh, this isn't Woodhaven's not what they were.
No,
It's a couple of short years ago, uh,
right.
but they're still a really, really big school, and much bigger than Carlson. So they have players, but I think Carlson wins this game as well. All right, let's go back to the SEC Red. Bedford sitting at 3-3 at Ann Arbor Huron, which is 2-4. Bedford needs this win if they want to get in the playoffs.
And I think they do. I think they do make the playoffs. I'm going with Bedford in this game.
Mhm.
Huron, I don't know what to make of Ann Arbor Huron this year, but I just think Bedford is the better team. I think they make the playoffs. Um, They usually end up playing like Livonia Franklin or something like that. So
Right.
usually that's the way it goes. But um, I'm gonna take Bedford as they gain steam heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bedford as well. I think they make the playoffs, and if they're going to make the playoffs, this is a game they have to win. You know, this isn't the same Ann Arbor Huron team from a few years ago that was really, really good. Nor is it the team that, lost 40 some straight there over a however many year period. Uh, but I think they're an average team, and I think Bedford probably wins this game. Even though well, you know me, I'm not big into home field, but it is over in Ann Arbor. So, well, I think that's all our games, with the exception of our Remax Masters game of the week. And we didn't discuss what the game of the week was going to be, but this has to be it, right? Uh, 5-1 Flat Rock at 6-0 SMCC. You want to pick first, Gary, or you want me to?
Doesn't matter. What do you want to do?
Well, I know what my pick is, so it's not going to change. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay,
This is
well, this is
your alma mater versus my alma mater. I
hmm,
want the Rams to beat the snot out of the Falcons, and I'm sure you
right.
want the Falcons to do the same doggone thing to the Rams. So go ahead.
This is the de facto league championship game. Okay, week. Okay, so although there's another week after, right? In the Huron League, but if Flat Rock were to win this game, it'd very likely be a three-way tie. Okay, barring some craziness in week 8, right?
Well, unless you're
Um,
not beats Fly Rock again like they did last year.
all right, and I guess that is possible.
Right.
But I think it'll be a tie, whether it's 3 or 2, we
Right.
don't know. That's a Flat Rock wins. Of course, if you're SMCC, you're playing for all the marbles with a victory, right? And their last outright Huron League title was in 2015, Coach Kip's first year. Um, so it's a big deal for both teams, really. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal for Flat Rock. I think you said yesterday they hadn't Flat Rock hasn't won the Huron League in
1978.
football 78.
1978. Yeah.
It's a big deal. This is a big deal. And
Long time ago.
yeah, and if I'm their coach, I'm telling the players that. And this is a state championship game for us, is the way I would look at it. If I
Mhm.
was here, if I was Flat Rock, and maybe if I was coaching SMCC too. I mean, winning the league's important, right?
Yep.
Um, I think the game's going to come down to whether or not Ben Scully can do his thing, right?
Run the
Um,
ball against the Falcon defense.
run the ball against the Falcons. If Graham Young comes away throwing it 30 times, I don't care how many yards he gets. He can throw for 280. Flat Rock's in trouble in my book. They have to run the ball. The Rams have to run the ball. Um, and if you're SMCC, it's the same exact thing. So to me, it's line of scrimmage and who can run the ball is going to win this game. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think anybody wins by 10 points or more. I think it's a score the whole game. Um, and I'm going to go with SMCC just because they're my homeboys, right?
I was just
Um,
gonna say that's such a homer pick. And
yeah,
you
it's a
say
homer
it's your
pick.
homeboy.
I'm gonna stay with my homeboys, but um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot on the line for Flat Rock, and they had better come out and play like it. They had better come out and play like it. I'm talking emotion, enthusiasm. I want to see it. I want to see it from the Rams. I didn't think last year I saw it. I'm going to throw it out there. I didn't think I saw it from the Rams last year. Um,
Against SMCC.
I guess that's some CC.
Yeah, I was at
Uh,
that game. I
yeah,
didn't think so either.
yeah. So I expect Flat Rock to act like this is a state championship game. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And I expect SMCC to do the exact same thing. So
Mhm.
I expect two teams out there going 180%, 100 miles an hour, playing their butts off, and the best team is going to win when it's all said and done. And I'm hoping it's my Falcons, and that's who I'm going to pick.
Okay. And great insight. I differ a little bit on what needs to happen on the offensive side of the ball for Flat Rock. I think they're going to try and run it. Uh, but to me, it isn't about Flat Rock's offense. they have got to stop SMCC from running the ball. They just do, right? They haven't done that. They've had two really, really good years, and this is another good year in a row, and they've never been able to stop the running game of either SMCC or Riverview. And if you want to win the league, you have to stop the T. Now I realize it's the shotgun T, but you're gonna have to play defense, right? With that said, Flat Rock has struggled scoring, a team that really puts up points. I mean, they put up 45 on Riverview this year. I threw some numbers out in some of the comments. Over the last 2 years, the Rams are only averaging 16 points per game against SMCC, and this is a team that puts up 40 points a game. And if you go back over the last 5 years, and I know those games have no bearing because none of those players are around, the Rams are only averaging like 6.5 points or something crazy like that against SMCC. So, two things. Flat Rock has to play defense. They have to stop SMCC from running the ball. They have to make sure that they don't let Ian Foster be opportunistic throwing, right? He's very good at throwing the ball. He doesn't throw much, but he's very efficient at it. And then Flat Rock's gonna have to score some points. So with that, as much as I want the Rams to win, I mean, I really want the Rams to win, right? It would be great
Don't pick SMCC. Pick
if
your
they,
homeboys. Come
no,
on.
I'm not. I went in, SMCC is going to win this game. I just think they're better than Flat Rock. I think they're the best team in the league. And I honestly, I think they win Division 7. That's just me. I've seen them a couple times. I've seen them on film. They're really, really, really good. They're well coached. They almost play with a chip on their shoulder. They have excellent special teams, great quarterback play. The line is solid. The defense is fast. I mean, they just have everything they need to really, win the Huron League and then make that run that I think they'll do in Division 7. If you want me to apologize for saying that, you can't talk about Ford Field. I'm not apologizing. That should be their expectation. So anyways, I'm going with the Falcons. I hope
I'm not ready to crown the Falcons yet on anything or to call them great. I will say they are very well coached. And I got some texts from some Riverview people, and that was the first thing they said. So kudos to Coach Kip and his staff. They said that team is disciplined. They don't make mistakes.
yeah.
And so
And
kudos.
that's really neat that people pointed that out because Mac doesn't get out coached very often over there at Riverview. And I'm not saying he was, but for them to compliment the fact that the Falcons are so well coached. And you said something the other day on when we recorded our Bring the Wood that the Falcons haven't turned the ball over all year. I mean, that's
6 games,
huge.
no turnovers.
That's awesome. I wonder if that's ever happened in their history.
I don't know. I wonder how many teams in the state right now through 6 have no turnovers. It can't be very many.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
fascinating that
Yeah.
you threw that out there. Very cool. So
Yeah. But
huh.
yeah, so there you have it. We both pick SMCC. We were
Yeah,
both
yeah.
right last week. We'll probably both be wrong this week. That's the way it's usually how it goes. But I do expect both teams to play their hearts out, and it's
I
going to be
think
a
it'll be a
great.
good game. I
It's
think
going to be a great Friday night atmosphere. It's going to be not alumni night. It's going to be a military appreciation night. All the veterans get in free. So if you're a veteran, you get in free to the game. Just mention it.
getting in free then, Gary, right?
Yeah, I'll get in free.
There you go.
I will
You're
get in free.
better. Fantastic.
And we're going to salute all the veterans at halftime. They'll be on the field, not at halftime, before the game. They'll be on the field, and
Yeah,
they'll be lining up with the team for the national anthem. So
that's awesome. That's cool stuff. So, hey everybody, I know many of you were looking for, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. Frank was supposed to wear the horse's head because he said he would. We're gonna hold him to that next week. We're not gonna
maybe every week.
maybe every
It
week.
may be a big hit.
Might be. That thing creeps me out. I've seen that thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy. So,
Yeah.
all right. Anyways, we're rambling a little bit. Hey, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, and then over the next couple of days, if you go to the podcast drop down, you'll probably see our podcast listed in there, and that is Bring the Wood. So there you go. That's our show. As always, I'm Chris Schultz. That's Gary Hoff. We're missing Frank Vashner. Friday Night Victors.com.